Good day. This audio-video recording session is intended for the continuation of discussions for the common algebraic families. As for this material, we will be talking of polynomials, okay? So the way you learned polynomials before, we are just going to uh, lay down the foundations or the definitions and the characteristics as far as abstract algebra is concerned. Okay, so in particular, we will be saying polynomials in X over the set of all real numbers. Okay, in this case, I am saying that um, the default variable that we are going to introduce for a polynomial will be X. And then moreover, the coefficients making up the polynomials will be coming from the set of all real numbers. Okay, so that is why we will be having this definition. First and foremost, we will be having a whole number n. Then we have real numbers a sub 0, a sub 1, a sub 2, so on and so forth up to a sub n, in which the last number a sub n should not be 0. When I say a polynomial in X over R, it should be in this form. A sub 0 plus a sub 1x plus a sub 2x squared plus so on and so forth up to plus a sub n x to the n. Okay, the term a sub n x to the n is what we call the leading term. The a sub n, which is the real number that we declared to be not 0, is what we call the leading coefficient. And the whole number n that you will be seeing uh, corresponding to the exponent that's paired to the leading coefficient is what we call the degree of the polynomial. Okay, so that is why it should be clear that a sub n will never be 0. We do not allow a sub n to be 0. Okay, so as far as notations are concerned, most of the time we will be using letters P, Q, R, so on and so forth to name a polynomial. Okay, so in this case, P of x is equal to a sub 0 plus a sub 1 x plus a sub 2 x squared plus so on and so forth up to a sub n x to the n. So when we have a polynomial of this form, I can rename it, or I may rename it as p of x. No? So to denote that it is a polynomial p in terms of x. Okay. Moreover, we can have a compact form, which is the summation form. We are going to use the summation notation. So we have the sigma, the Greek letter sigma, uppercase. So that is the summation of all. In this case, we are adding all terms of the form a sub I x to the I, where I is taken from 0, that should be the lower limit, and then the upper limit will be n. Okay, perhaps if we're going to entertain another polynomial, say we have a polynomial q, so we have q of x, we can use another set of coefficients b sub 0, b sub 1, so on and so forth, until you reach b sub, say, another possible degree, no? Say m. So that m may be different from n. Okay, so in this case, perhaps I'm going to use another different indexing letter. So we have the summation of all b sub j, x to the j running from 0 up to n. Okay, next. We are also giving a special name for the zero polynomial. So this is the polynomial that contains or that is presented to have 0 as all coefficients. No? So we have z of x equals 0 plus 0x plus 0x squared plus 0x cubed plus so on and so forth up to whatever that possible term. And we are saying that it has an indeterminate degree or infinity. Based on the definition, in order to have a specific degree of a polynomial, no, we are going to name it n, a sub n should not be 0. So if all terms are equal to 0, then we cannot specify a specific degree. So that is why we are saying that if it is a zero polynomial, then we are saying that it is of indeterminate degree. Okay, so as far as the degrees are concerned, we are associating the following terms. No, we say if a polynomial is of 0 degree, we are saying that it is a constant polynomial. Okay, for example, 5, 1/3, square root of 2. So basically, all real numbers are considered to be polynomials. No, we can consider it to be as a subset of the set of all polynomials over R. So if it is of degree 1, we are calling it to be a linear polynomial. Degree 2, a quadratic polynomial. Degree 3, a cubic polynomial, and then so on and so forth. So if we do not have a special name for that, we could just say that it is an nth degree polynomial. Okay, so moreover, we will be using this symbol to represent the set of all polynomials in x over r. So whatever the degree of the polynomial, even if it is the zero polynomial, we will be using it. We will be using this notation. So we have the set of all real numbers and then affixing with square bracketed x. Okay, so for all polynomials that you know, we are going to put them in this set, and that would be the set of all polynomials in in x over the set of all real numbers. Now, if you're going to replace the variable of the polynomial, then let's say you have the set of polynomials in terms of p, so you can have r of p. Okay, so based on what I have said earlier, it should be clear that the set of all polynomials is actually a superset for the set of all real numbers. Okay, if you can still remember before that the set of all real numbers is actually a subset of the set of all complex numbers, then apparently, coming from another dimension, we can say that the set of all real numbers is a subset of the set of all polynomials. Okay, so we are viewing uh, the set of all real numbers in at least two ways. Okay, so being than a number, we can also see it as a polynomial since it's considered to be a 0 degree polynomial. Okay, then we have this operation, the sum of polynomials or the addition of polynomials. So given two polynomials p, okay, kindly imagine that. This is the summation of all a sub I, x to the I running from 1 up to 0. And the polynomial q of x, the summation of all b sub j, x to the j running from 0 up to m. Take note, m and n may be different. M and n may be equal. We do not know for sure. We're not sure for this given instance, so we're just going to uh, de- we're just going to declare it in the general sense. Okay, so uh, clarifying the declaration of the polynomials, we are saying that the a sub i's and the b sub j's, they should be all real numbers, and in which we are going to force that a sub n and b sub m, sorry, this should be b sub m, they are both not equal to 0, or else it will not be possible to name the degree of the polynomial. So when we say the sum of the polynomial p of x and q of x, we're going to have this notation, P of x plus Q of x. Okay, so this operation is given by this presentation. P of x plus Q of x is equal to the summation of all a sub I plus b sub I, x to the I, where I runs from 0 up to whichever the bigger between n and m. No? So we are using the maximum operator. So whichever is bigger, we are going to use it as a, it will be named as the the degree of the sum of the two polynomials. Okay, if you're going to look through further in this presentation, this tells us about the component-wise addition. Okay, you can still, I believe you can still remember, your teachers in high school told you that whenever you add polynomials, you're going to consider like terms. Okay, so that's why the j variable or the j indexing variable has been unified with I already. Okay, so in this case, we will be moving the addition of the polynomials in terms of the uh, indexing variable I. Okay, for convenience. And then the degree of the polynomial will be just whichever is higher. Okay, for example, okay, so perhaps let us recall, we have the polynomial 1 plus 3x plus x squared. We know that this would be a polynomial. Okay, then we declare another polynomial, say q of x. Say we have negative 3 plus 4x squared plus negative x cubed. Okay. So according to the rule of the addition of polynomials or the polynomial sum, we have to proceed with component-wise addition, meaning the way we understood the like terms. Meaning the only numbers or terms that you can add would be those bearing the same exponents in the variable. Okay, moreover, we have to consider that the degree of the polynomial p of x is actually 2, and the degree of the polynomial q of x is 3. Okay, so rewriting p of x is of the form 1 plus 3x plus x squared. Take note, we are with respect to the higher exponent or higher degree, we are going to introduce another term for the polynomial p of x, which will become 0x cubed. Okay, and for the polynomial q of x, this should be negative 3 plus 4x squared. Take note, by the way, we do not have an x term present in polynomial q of x. So we're going to introduce 0x and then plus 4x squared plus negative x cubed. Okay, so with the introduction of the zero coefficients of the missing terms, it is now possible to proceed with pairwise addition. Okay, so we have p of x plus q of x. So we start with adding from x to the 0, and that is the constant terms. So we have 1 plus negative 3. Technically, it has been multiplied with x to the 0. Okay, plus second term, we have 3 plus 0 multiplied with x to the first plus uh, 1 plus 4 multiplied with x squared, and then plus 0 plus negative 1 multiplied with x cubed. Take note that x cubed, which is now the terminal term for this polynomial is actually the corresponding to the higher degree between between the two degrees of the polynomials. Okay, so that is why we can now end with the usual notion of the sum of polynomials that we already know way back in perhaps grade 7. So this is 1 plus negative 3, that should be negative 2. X to the 0, that will be constant, plus 3x, okay, plus 1 plus 4, that should be 5, x squared, and then 0 plus negative 1. So we have plus negative 1 x cubed. Okay? So with respect to the rule of polynomial addition, it should be clear that the sum of two polynomials is actually a polynomial. Okay? So even though even though you have two different degrees or the number of the terms do not correspond properly, it is always possible to add two polynomials and have a sum that is also a polynomial, since the zero coefficient it can be seen in action. Okay, so much for that. Then we are defining the negative of a polynomial. Let p of x be the polynomial, the summation of all a sub I, x to the I running from 0 up to m. So when we say the negative of a polynomial, I'm just going to write negative p of x. It should be given by the summation of the negative a sub I, x to the I running from 0 up to n. So basically, the only one or the only thing that differs in the negative polynomial with the original would be the imposition of the negative sign. Okay, so I believe you can now imagine that this negative p of x is technically the product of negative 1 times p of x, since we already have a notion coming from grade 7 algebra lessons, no? But algebra abstract in the language of abstract algebra, we are saying that the negative of a polynomial is technically the product of the original polynomial with negative 1. Okay, so uh, we are somehow borrowing, or we are actually copying the notions of the negatives coming from the other additive sets as well. You can still recall the vectors, the real numbers, and then so on. Okay, so for example, if we will declare a polynomial p of x, say that is negative 1 plus 3x plus x squared. So the negative of that polynomial will be, so the negative of negative 1, so that should be positive. The negative of positive 3, that should be negative 3. So we have negative 3x squared. And the negative of x squared, so that should be negative x squared. Okay, so furthermore, we do not have an issue even though there would be a missing term, no? That is, um, some terms have originally bearing a coefficient 0. Okay, since the negative of 0 is still 0. Okay, so in this case, we have negative 4x plus negative x squared plus, so this is positive 1 coefficient. Okay, so some of you might wonder, why are we fixed in using plus negative instead of introducing the minus sign? Well, actually, it all boils down with the definition of the polynomial, that the polynomial should be presented in the form of the summation. Okay, it is always presented in the form of the summation. Okay, so actually, when you have a polynomial with a minus sign, it is somehow considered to be an illegal presentation as far as abstract algebra is concerned. Okay, so I think you already have the idea or the notion of why are we introducing the negative of polynomial. Okay, so it is because of the concept of the difference of polynomials. So the difference of p of x and q of x, written this way, p of x minus q of x, is given by p of x plus the negative of q of x. So in order to perform subtraction of polynomials, you are going to utilize still addition of polynomials by introducing the negative of the second polynomial. Okay, for example, Okay, say we have, okay, say we have, I'm not going to name them, huh? So let's have 4x plus 3x squared plus negative x to the fourth minus 3 plus 2x squared plus x cubed plus negative 4x to the fourth. Okay, so we have these polynomials. According to the definition of the difference, we are going to fix the first polynomial as it is. So 4x plus 3x squared plus negative x to the fourth. And then the minus sign will be replaced by the plus, provided we are going to introduce the negative of the second polynomial. So it is literally what you have learned way back in high school. No? Or the general idea behind what you learned way back in high school. Okay, so 4x plus 3x squared plus the negative x to the fourth plus, then you then introduce the negative of the polynomial. So we have the negative of 3 plus the negative of 2x squared plus the negative of x cubed plus the negative of 4x to the fourth. Okay, then you can now proceed with addition of polynomials. We are moving according to component-wise addition. Okay, so take note that the first term, so the first term is 0 plus 4x plus 3x squared plus 0x cubed plus negative x to the fourth. And for the second term, we have the negative of 3 plus 0x plus negative 2x squared plus negative x cubed plus 4x to the fourth. Okay, so according to the sum, the definition of the sum, component-wise addition prevails. So we have 0 plus negative 3 plus 4 plus 0 x plus 3 plus negative 2 x squared plus 0 plus negative 1 x cubed plus negative 1 plus 4 x to the. Okay, assuming the coefficients that I wrote are correct, we end up with negative 3 plus 4x plus 1x squared plus negative 1 x cubed or negative x cubed plus 3x to the fourth. Okay, so apparently the difference of two polynomials should be also a polynomial. Okay, next one. Of course, since we already laid down the concepts of or the concept of polynomial sum, we are now going to proceed with establishing this theorem that the set of all polynomials is an abelian group under addition. Okay, so for the closure part, we are going to utilize the definition. So first, we declare two polynomials. We have the summation of all a sub I, x to the I running from 0 up to n, and the polynomial q of x as the summation of all b sub j, x to the j running from 0 up to n. Okay, so as we proceed with addition, then how do we view the sum p of x plus q of x. Okay, so upon substitution, we have the summation of all a sub I, x to the I running from 0 up to n, plus the summation of all b sub j, x to the j running from 0 up to m. Okay, so as we form the sum, according to the definition, we are going to proceed with component-wise addition. Okay, so meaning we are going to force a pair elements or the terms or the coefficients of the terms coming from the second polynomial with the corresponding uh, terms or terms of the rather coefficients of the terms of the first polynomial as long as they have the same exponents. So this should become a sub I plus b sub I x to the I. Then I will be running from 0 up to whichever is higher between n and m. So obviously, it will be just either n or m. Even though n and m may be equal or unequal, uh, it will still tell us that the sum is indeed a polynomial. Okay, so from there, therefore, the set of all polynomials in X over the set of all real numbers as coefficients is closed under the declared addition. Okay, let's have the associativity. Okay, so for the associativity part, we will be needing three polynomials. Let P of X be of the form, the summation of all, A sub I, X to the I running from 0 up to N. For Q of X, we have the summation of all, B sub J, X to the J running from 0 up to M. And then we will be declaring a third polynomial, say R of X. This is the summation of all, C sub L, X to the L running from 0 up to T. Okay, so take note, we do not have an assurance yet that the three exponents are the same and the three uh, upper cases or upper limits of the summations are the same. So we can assume that generally they are distinct. Okay, so as we proceed with sum, okay, now what do we know about the addition? So P of X plus Q of X, after you find that sum, you're going to proceed with the sum with R of X. Okay, so this should be the summation of all A sub I, X to the I running from 0 up to N, plus the summation of all B sub J, X to the J running from 0 up to N. Then plus the third polynomial, the summation of all C sub L, X to the L running from 0 up to T. Well, according to the definition, the first term should become the summation of all. So we agree that the terms will be moving simultaneously according to the indexing variable I. So A sub I plus B sub I, X to the I running from 0, and whichever that will be, or that will end at whichever is higher between N and M. Then we have the summation of all. C sub L, X to the L running from 0 up to T. Okay. So we are now adding two polynomials at this point. So we can now proceed with their sum, which will be the summation of, take note, first term is a sub I plus b sub I. So we are going to get the terms that can move simultaneously with the I terms of the first polynomial. Okay, so we're just going to use the same indexing set. So the indexing variable. So the indexing variable L will be dominated by the indexing variable I. So we have C sub I. All of this is multiplied with a variable x to the I running from 0, and then what will be the upper limit? So whatever the higher between whatever the higher between n and m, we are going to compare it with t. Okay, so meaning, still we are going to use whichever the higher, or the highest now, whichever the highest among n, m, and p. That should be the upper limit. So take note, a sub I, b sub I, c sub I are all real numbers, and what we are adding here are real numbers. So remember that real number addition is associative, so the trick comes here. This becomes the summation of all a sub I plus b sub I plus c sub I. So you can apply here the associativity of real number addition. I running from 0 up to whichever is the highest among n, m, and p. Okay, so at this point, it is now safe to separate the variable I, or the polynomial bearing a sub i's. So we can have the summation of all a sub I running from 0 up to. So as far as the polynomial bearing a sub i's are concerned, we will end up to n. And then for the other polynomial, we have the summation of all. In this case, we're going to use the indexing variable for j. Okay, so without loss of generality. So we have b sub j plus c sub j, x to the j running from 0 up to whichever is higher between m and p. So it's as if you are viewing that we added q and r in the first place. Okay, so this one, again, this is the summation of all a sub i's, I running from 0 up to n. And then the second polynomial will be broken down as the summation of b sub j, x to the j running from 0 up to m. And we have the summation of all c sub l, x to the l running from 0 up to t. Okay, and clearly, this is what we wish, p of x plus the sum of q of x and r of x. Okay, thus completing the associativity of addition. So we are saying that plus, or the addition, the declared addition is associative on the set of all polynomials in X over the set of all real numbers. Okay, third one. What will be the additive polynomial? So apparently I believe everyone has an idea. So we will be then taking the zero polynomial. So we can have the zero polynomial, which is of the form 0 plus 0x plus 0x squared, no? And so on and so forth. Okay, what's the purpose of that? That if you're going to pair this with any known polynomial, so that for every p of x, so we have the summation of all a sub I, x to the I running from 0 up to the known degree. Okay. So what should happen then? So when we have z of x plus p of x, okay, since the coefficients are indefinitely extending for z, I would like you to realize that this should become the summation of all 0 plus a sub I, x to the I running from 0 up to, take note, whichever is higher between 0 and n. And in that case, that should be n. And simply, this should become the summation of all a sub I, x to the I running from 0 up to n, which is actually p of x. And you can do this on the other side. P of x plus z of x is equal to the summation of all a sub I plus 0, x to the I running from 0 up to n. So again, this should be just the summation of all a sub I, x to the I running from 0 up to n, which is p of x. Okay, so we already have the additive identity. Likewise, I believe you already have the hint on how we're going to introduce the inverses. So that for every polynomial that you know, p of x, okay, we can we can always declare the negative of the given polynomial. So that takes the form negative, the summation of negative a sub I x to the I running from 0 up to n. Of course, they have the same degrees. And what will happen? P of x plus the negative of p of x. So this is actually the summation of all. According to the definition, a sub I plus negative a sub I x to the I running from 0 up to n, whichever is higher between n and n. So therefore, it should be just n. So this is the summation of all 0 x to the I running from 0 up to n, which is actually the 0 polynomial. And you can do it on the other side. Okay? So at least we can use our background knowledge in high school algebra to prove this. Okay, and the main reason why both sides of the required characteristics of the identity and the inverse properties work, so we can dedicate it to the commutative property. So last, for the commutative property, again, we are going to declare two polynomials. By the way, you can use other variables for the coefficients and the index, okay, as long as you're consistent with your proving. No? So for example, you do not wish to use n and m, you wish to use other letters, make it sure that you are consistent with all of your notations. No, it just so happened that for most of the literature, they are using these notations. So at least it won't be difficult for you to read. Okay, so we proceed with the sum p of x plus q of x according to the definition. So this should be the summation of a sub I, x to the I running from 0 up to n plus the summation of b sub j, x to the j running from 0 up to n. So this should be the summation of, again, the I as the indexing variable will dominate j without loss of generality. And we will terminate at whichever is higher between n and m. Okay? Note that this point is this term is actually real addition. In real addition is commutative. So we have here the summation of b sub I plus a sub I, x to the I running from 0 up to whichever is higher. So for convenience, I'm going to interchange m and n as well. After all, conjunction is a commutative operation. So when you say m and n, it is the same with n and m. So this becomes the summation of all. Now I'm going to bring back j. Okay. So lastly, this should become q of x plus p of x. Okay, so conclusion that addition of polynomials is actually commutative. Okay, and furthermore, what did we achieve? Therefore, that the set of all polynomials in X over the set of all real numbers under the chosen addition is an abelian. Okay, I hope the proof is clear. Okay, so this is quite lengthy. Okay, as we proceed, okay, now let us consider some uh, specially defined subsets of the set of all polynomials. Okay, let K be a whole number. Define the following subsets of the set of all polynomials as. First one, we have Rx with subscript n equals k. Okay, if you can see me that I'm going to write, or yeah, I'm writing at this notation, I am referring to the set of all polynomials whose degree is exactly k. Okay, for example, all quadratic polynomials, all cubic polynomials, uh, any polynomial, any set of polynomials that having the same degrees or the same highest appearing exponents will be put in a single set. So we will be using this as a subscript. Okay, another, instead of n equals k, we can have n less than k. Okay, so meaning we are looking for all polynomials with degree that is strictly less than k. So if you see that n is less than 3, then it should contain constant polynomials, linear polynomials, quadratic polynomials. And then the third one, we are going to fuse the first two definitions, n less than or equal to k. In this case, we have to consider all polynomials of degree at most k. Okay, for example, uh, Okay, so for example, we have the polynomial negative 3 plus 4x plus negative 3 x to the cube plus 7x to the fourth. So in particular, definitely, or rather in the general sense, uh, this is a polynomial of degree at most, of degree 4. Okay? So we can emphasize further that it should belong in this set. It is a quartic polynomial. Okay? Another, say 100x to the 99 plus the negative of 87x to the 101, and it will end, and let's say it's just a binomial presented in this way. So we are saying that this is a polynomial of degree 101. Okay? Say we have the polynomial 5 plus 6x. So this is just a linear polynomial. Okay? Moreover, say we're going to have the real number pi. Of course, we are saying that pi is a real number, but we are also saying that pi is a 0-degree polynomial since it is treated as a constant. Okay? Next. Okay, so say for example, let us consider the polynomial 3 plus 6x. This is a first-degree polynomial, a linear polynomial. So it should be clear that this is an element of the set of all polynomials of degree less than 2, since it is degree 1. Or you can also say it is an element of the set of all polynomials of degree less than, say, 10. Okay? Say we have 4 plus negative 6x 4 plus negative 6x plus 12x squared. We can say that this is a polynomial of degree, say, less than 3. It's okay. Okay, now if you're going to fuse the first two definitions, we can say that 3 plus 6x is actually a polynomial of degree at most 1. Okay, 4 plus negative 6x plus 12x squared is a polynomial of degree at most 2. Okay, so since we are paying homage to its degree. Moreover, we can also say that 3 plus 6x is a polynomial of degree at most 2, since its exponent does not reach 2. Okay, so the exponent is 1, and we know that 1 is less than equal to 2.